Hey guys, just want to show you guys two of my jade plants here. They're both commonly referred to as jade plants, but they're two different species. You can see on the one on the left it has the bigger, thicker leaves. I'll do a close-up in a second here. You can see that the bark is a little more smooth. The one on the left is actually Crassula, Ovata. And the one on the right is your Portulacaria Afra, also known as the elephant bush. The one on the right is actually edible. The leaves can be eaten, put into salad. It tastes a little bit like slightly salty sour apples. It's actually pretty good. It's a high source of omega-3. The one on the left is not edible. It may even be poisonous if ingested, so I would advise against that. I'm not going to do the pruning now, but I plan on pruning these two back pretty hard, possibly making multiple trees out of them. Just because if you look on the left here, you can see the main leader on the left is just straight up. There's no movement. It looks kind of boring and not very appealing. I don't like to wire these, so I probably won't do that. I'll create the movement and more taper by pruning. I pruned it this previous summer, so you can see a lot of the, there's a lot of branching going on. There's a lot of ramification. Same with this one. You can also see on the right there's just a perfectly straight branch that goes diagonally to up towards the upper right corner. Not very appealing. My plan is probably to take that straight branch completely off and turn that part right about here. So all this will be another tree. And then if you can imagine that being gone, this lower portion will be another tree. And I'll prune that back to get better ramification. But these are pretty old. I would say they're both, the one on the left is at least 30 years old, and the one on the right is probably equally as old. The trunk is pretty big. We'll get a closer look here. So if you look at the trunk, it is pretty good size. I would say 2.5 inches for this one, and this base here is probably 3.5 inches across. It's a twin trunk. These I 3D printed at work. I drew this on SolidWorks. It's a little Japanese lantern, Ishidoro, and then 3D printed it. It looks pretty good. I like it in here. So same with this side. There's a little one there with some rocks. But you can see the difference in leaves. This one is, leaf is humongous. I mean, see the size of that compared to these. They're about your fingernail size or tip of your finger. These are about 2 fingers long, or 2 fingers wide and 2/3 of my finger long. So they're pretty big. The soil that I'm using is actually a mix of oil dry. You can get this at like Walmart or Menards for $5 for a 25-pound bag. And I mixed that depending on how developed the roots are. I think I did 1 part to 5 parts. 1 part peat moss to 5 parts oil dry. It's this granular, large granulars. Succulents do really well in here. So what it does is it'll hold moisture, but it's never soggy. The rest will just drip out. And that's kind of what these guys like. And it's been doing really well in this. I actually, when I repotted this, both of these came in like a bush. There was multiple trunks. There's probably like 6 of these in one pot, big pot. And I kind of removed them all, separated them, sold the other ones, and just kept this one. And there wasn't much roots left, and I used this soil mixture and had outside, and we had a lot of rain in the fall, and it seemed to do fine even with all that rain. So That's really good. Same with this guy. Hardly any roots, but as you can see now, it's pretty well rooted in there because it hardly moves. But you can see the texture of this one is more of a brown, and the bark that you would see on a tree outside, where this one is I would say more smooth, besides all this light flaking. It's also a lighter tan color and not a dark brown color. I like them both. I've always wanted jade plants. So here they are. I've got both of them. There's another one that I would like to get, which is the Crassula Golem. It has long needle-like leaves. It's in the same family as this jade here, but it has long needle, like pine needle-like leaves, where you can when you make it turn into a pine tree, bonsai tree, it looks kind of like a pine tree. So that's kind of cool, and that's the other one that I want. But yeah, these are the two jades that I have. I'll back up a little bit so you guys can see the whole plants. And I know the shape is not very good right now. It's all leaning to one side and whatnot, but I had to repot it, get it to recover, get a good, get the roots back before I did any other pruning, and I was undecided at that point. So I'm just trying to get these guys healthy, and then I'll decide what to do with them in the spring, summer time frame. But that's what I have for you guys, just a show and tell kind of for my jade plants.